So, if you have not watched Wicked, please don't watch this video because there are definitely spoilers. But I'm going to be talking about the character Elphaba from the book and the musical and the movie of the movie musical of Wicked. And she's the Wicked Witch of the West, and it's sort of the like backstory of the Wicked Witch. How did she become wicked? And I just got diagnosed informally on um, Friday, like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, with autism and sort of this like high masking autism that's quite common in people assigned female at birth and or femme people and other um, less represented folks. And after I saw, or after I got the diagnosis, I was thinking through the characteristics and what the psychologist had gone through and, or explained. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is Elphaba. Like, Elphaba has all of these characteristics. And it just felt so wild. And I quickly looked it up. And according to Gemini, Google's like Chat GPT, this is quite a common parallel that has been drawn even before the movie, having to do with the book Wicked, which I have not read, but apparently it's even more so in the book. And I just think it's really helpful because one, I absolutely adore the character Elphaba from the movie. I haven't seen the musical or read the book, but from the movie, I just like love Elphaba. And so it feels good in that sense that I'm like, oh yeah, I would love to be like Elphaba. And then it also feels helpful for me because it's hard for me to explain these characteristics, and seeing them in someone else in the character of Elphaba really is helping me to understand them in myself. So I just wanted to go through some of them. This is not a like diagnostic list for high masking autism, but it's just some of the characteristics that show up in the movie, and some from the book as well, because when I was looking it up, that came up. Okay, so Born This Way. So this is little Elphaba from the movie, just beyond adorable. And one of the diagnostic differentiations for autism that the psychologist shared with me was that it is neurodevelopmental, meaning that it is not acquired, you're born with it. And unlike something like PTSD, where it's acquired, it comes as a result of an experience. And so little Elphaba is born with her difference in terms of her green skin, and then in terms of her magical abilities. They're not taught, they're not like acquired in some way. She just has them innately. So that was a fun parallel. And it was nice. I'll go into this. I'm going to make another video about my evaluation, what I learned from it. But that was a helpful one for me in differentiating between a diagnosis of borderline versus the autism, because the borderline is more acquired and the autism is neurodevelopmental. Okay. This one I couldn't find like a representation of in the movie, but it was something that I came across um, when I was talking to Gemini. So this is Gemini's little synopsis of how the book represents Elphaba as having a really specific special interest in Aussians and their culture. She's really into studying their language and their traditions and their science discoveries. And this like pulls her away. She often chooses learning about Aussians over interacting with other people. And some of one of the things with the high masking autism, or the autism in the like female phenotype, as some people are calling it, is that some of the special interests can be seen as more socially like appropriate. And so they can not be noticed as special interests in the same way that perhaps the more stereotypical, like being interested in trains or transportation or whatever. Okay. Social isolation. I love how Cynthia Erivo explains Elphaba's experience of social isolation in this video. So I just wanted to go ahead and play that because I think she does it better than I will. So
it wasn't enough just to have a piece of choreography. It needed to show the pain that she was enduring, but also the surrender to being okay with being alone.
So I thought that was really beautiful. She's reflecting on this scene in the movie where Elphaba comes into a party situation thinking that she's going to be able to like interact with the group and the friends. And then like everybody just is laughing at her and mocking her. And she experiences that as painful. But then she also has this ability to be like, you know what? This is I'm here, I'm not like to be unapologetic about it and uh one of the things that I most appreciate about my own neurodiversity is that I am like less able to fit in, and in that way I can release the like following of culture because I don't get it, and so it gives me a little bit of like a leg up. It makes it easier for me to be an individual and be authentic because it's not as easy for me to figure out how to blend in. And I feel like Elphaba does that really well. Oops.
It wasn't in.
Okay. Next one. Heightened sense of justice. So this is something, that's talked about for this type of autism as well. Like really cares about right and wrong, like very empathetic, really cares about the underdog, so to speak. So Elphaba has this throughout the movie, but most specifically around the rights of animals as they are affected. This is her saving this really cute little lion cub. Okay, good girl syndrome. So, with high masking autism, there's often like this overly polite, overly perfectionistic, like do everything right, be so nice, get straight A's, follow all of the rules, type of presentation. I certainly have that, and I really saw that in Alphabet as well. She gets chosen by this director or teacher person to like have private studies, and she's like so studious and so attentive and so following all the like trying to do everything right, and she has this dream of like if she's good enough then Oz is going to take away her green skin and make her um into this other more accepted person, and so she really uses the like I'm going to do so good and then they will like me and love me and fix me sort of idea. Okay, and then masking, I couldn't find a picture because it just was blurry. But basically, she masking means you're trying to like copy behaviors of others in order to be like fit in more socially or be more socially acceptable. And there's a part where the Glinda, which is the like Glinda the Good Witch character, flips her hair and tries to teach Elphaba to flip her hair, and she's like copying her, and that's what I wanted to capture. Is that she's trying, like there's a space for being like, no, I'm not gonna flip my hair, that's stupid. But there's she is trying to match. She does want to fit in, and as so many of us do. Oops. Okay. All right. And then this one I didn't know about, but it just was so validating for me that there's a characteristic of this type of autism that you can be very childlike and naive and easy to take advantage of, like a easy target for narcissists or other people that might like to take advantage of you. This has definitely been my experience, and Elphaba experiences this as well. Like the Glinda the Good Witch character ends up trying to trick her to wear this hat that her and her friends all think is so ugly. And she's like, oh, this hat's so beautiful, you should wear it. And Elphaba's like, okay, and goes for it, and it's like she doesn't realize it, and she even thinks that Glinda is being so kind that she goes out of her way to do a huge favor for Glinda, not knowing that Glinda was just trying to trick her. Okay, meltdowns. So the for neurodiverse people in general, but also people with autism, like getting really overwhelmed, either sensory wise or just through being confused or working so hard to mask and fit in all the time, follow all the rules. It can come to an overwhelmed point that leads to a meltdown, which can either be a complete shutdown or like a ragey, like big emotion freak out. And that's really exemplified by the way that Elphaba has these in response to big emotion, like destruction happens around her, like things crash and smash and fly around. And she can't control it. She like feels like she can't control it. And one of the things that I think is probably gonna happen in the well, and you already see it happen in the end. She starts to be able to control it. Like she figures out how to do spells and like use the broom to fly and use her emotion, channeling her emotion to control sort of this big power that she has. But it's really helpful to see how like when she was young especially, it wasn't controllable and she didn't realize she was doing it, and it just came out of big emotion. And that can be really hard to describe to other people who don't have that experience, why you're having a big reaction to something that they may think is no big deal. And there's actually science behind like folks with autism, folks with neurodiversity, folks even with borderline, their brains actually process smaller stressors as bigger stressors. And so what to somebody else might not be that big of a stressor can be a really big stressor for somebody who has that experience. Um, and then this is my favorite part of the Elphaba character, and the one that I probably am like identifying the most with and finding so aspirational and validating and inspiring, is this way that eventually she's like, fuck it. Like, she's different and she is powerful. And at first, they want to take advantage of that. They want her to help them with their agenda. But then she's like, no, I disagree with you. I don't want to do what you're doing. They're trying to harm animals. And she's like, I'm not on board with it. And the good fairy or good witch is Glinda is like, come on, just do it. Just go back to like following the rules, like do what they want you to do and they'll keep you safe. And she finally is like, fuck it. Like, I'm not going to do this just to stay safe. Like, that feels like its own danger. And I think that's really what I came to also, in trying to hide who I was, especially around being queer. Um, that I was just like, it's too hard. Like, I can't keep myself in this cage forever. And I just, if I'm going to be your bad guy, then I guess that's the option. And so she lets them um you know turn her into the bad guy to become the enemy that they're gonna like unite the people around in order to be free. She allows them to let um to villainize her, and instead of trying to defend or appease or convince, she's like, I love this line, too long I've been afraid of losing love, I guess I've lost. Well, if that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. So she's acknowledging like, this thing I thought I was like bending myself into pretzel for constantly in the name of like getting you to love me, like that doesn't even feel like love. That's too much of a high cost to be anything that I actually is worthwhile. And even if I'm going to do this myself alone and I'm going to become your bad guy, and if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. She's saying, like, I'm choosing my authenticity, I'm choosing my freedom, I'm choosing the life that's going to be aligned to my values rather than try to get you on board with like or to try to be who you want me to be. And I just think it's so beautiful. So please go listen to the song Defying Gravity. I'll put a link to it below. It's just an incredible song. And there's another song that's called Changed for Good, I think. And I'll link that one below too. Between the two of those songs, it's incredible philosophy. I'm going to do another video on that, just around how like the combination of radical acceptance in the Change for the Good song and the like choosing authenticity regardless of if other people are going to make you their bad guy, that's in Defying Gravity, is just an incredible full representation of my philosophy on life. And I just feel so grateful for this story, for this portrayal of it by Cynthia Erivo. And yeah, I really, really encourage you to go see it. It was phenomenal. And let me know in the comments if there's any of these that you relate to, or any other ones that you noticed about Elphaba. And sending you so much love. Bye.